Hello, everyone. I am Aurora Elmore. I'm the Cooperative Institute Manager for NOAA Ocean Exploration. Thank you very much for joining us today for NOAA's Science Seminar. This is the first webinar in a 6-part series about NOAA's Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute, or OECI. Throughout these webinars, we'll meet the OECI team and hear about their exciting projects in deep sea exploration. Before we begin, some general information. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted with closed captioning on this site shortly after the webinar. Live closed captioning is also available, and the link has been posted in the YouTube description. Today you'll be hearing opening remarks from Craig McLean, Dr. Bob Ballard, Dr. Genene Fisher, and a presentation from Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute Director Dr. Adam Soule. There will be plenty of time for audience questions after Adam's presentation. You'll be able to ask questions in the live YouTube chat box, and you can do that at any time. But in order to do that, you must be signed into a YouTube account. So for those of you with a noaa.gov email address, in order to ask a question, you'll need to either sign into YouTube with your personal email address, or you can email your questions to oeciquestions@uri.edu, as you can see at the bottom of your screen. It is now my pleasure to introduce Craig McLean, Assistant Administrator for NOAA Research and Acting NOAA Chief Scientist, for some welcoming remarks. Craig.
Thank you very much, Aurora, and welcome to everyone who's chosen to take your time and join in here with us now to talk about ocean exploration and the cooperative institutes. Many of you know, but some of you may not know, that NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, has about 50% of our science talent working with us through universities, colleges, and institutions that compete for the status of being a cooperative institute. We're very proud to have Dr. Adam Soule and his team here aligned with us as full partners, because in order to be part of the cooperative institutes, you need to bring your own equities and your own contributions to the mission. But we're very proud of the NOAA mission and very proud to share it with the university talent that we have throughout what you'll learn more about with the Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute. But now let's talk about ocean exploration if we can. Take a big step back. Close your eyes for a moment and look up in the sky and look at the stars. And when you see the stars, ponder this immense galaxy that has many Earth-like planets promised to be discovered. And just imagine for a minute that maybe we found a planet and it's out in the remote stretches of this galaxy. And there it is at the tip of this red arrow. Take a look at it. Maybe we can discover that it has silicate and metals as part of its composition, very similar to ours, that it's largely a water-based planet, that there's a carbon-based life form on it, that we have detected alien life forms on that planet, but that 98% of the biosphere on that planet is toxic. How excited would you be to be looking at travel to go to this planet and explore and discover it? But in reality, I've just defined planet Earth. That is Earth. 98% of this biosphere, the ocean area, is toxic to humans. We can't breathe water. We have alien life forms. We're not looking for them out in space. We have them. They are here in and under our ocean. We are that carbon-based life form. We are a silicate planet, and the minerals of the periodic table abound. And yet we have only seen and discovered less than 5% of the undersea by direct exploration. And that's kind of shameful, as sophisticated as our society is, as our human elements are. And the challenge in front of us is huge, immense, and amazing. One of the most inspirational people I've had the pleasure to meet, know, and work with over the years is someone you're going to hear from shortly, and that's Dr. Bob Ballard. But we go back some time when in 2001 we created, as part of Dr. Ballard's recommendations, as a member of a presidential planning commission on ocean exploration. And I, at the time, was in the NOAA Corps, and we worked together. And in this case, we're on the Titanic, as you might be able to see from this image. But we're not crammed into the sphere that Dr. Ballard led the exploration and utilization of in manned submersibles. We use the term manned today, perhaps crude, as CREWED is perhaps more appropriate. But we then were working with remotely operated vehicles, still do today, and part of the inventory that we're most proud of in the Ocean Exploration Program is the Deep Discover ROV, and also the ROVs and vehicles that Dr. Ballard had pioneered in the development of. So we've come a long way, And we've really built an excellent team that you're going to get to know through the course of these sessions and these seminars. So I ask you to pay attention to it. I ask you to understand and appreciate the value that we have in NOAA, taking the responsibility of the mission to be basically that ocean exploration federal agency where our only purpose is to go out, explore, and discover. So come on along with us and do some discovery. There's plenty already made and many, many more to come. Thank you very much. And Aurora, back to you.
Thanks so much, Craig. Thank you for your strong support of ocean exploration. It is now my pleasure to introduce world-renowned explorer, Dr. Bob Ballard, who is the president of Ocean Exploration Trust, one of the partners within OECI.
I want to thank you for your kind words. You can trace the origins of OE back to the actions of NOAA champion Senator Fritz Hollings in 1999 that led to the passage of the Ocean Act of 2000. This act resulted in the creation of the President's Panel on Ocean Exploration and the U.S. Commission on Ocean Policy, both of which collectively supported the creation of NOAA's Office of Ocean Exploration and Research, with a recommended annual funding level of $76 million, as well as the need for dedicated ships of exploration. During the intervening 20 years, it's been the efforts of bipartisan support in the Senate and House to grow its initial FY 2001 $4 million budget to its present FY 2021 funding level of $43 million. Given this long history on the dependency of Congress, I'm extremely pleased to see President Biden's recommended FY 2022 budget for OE at $43.4 million, which along with the House mark of $44.5, with the Senate soon to follow, means that for the first time in the 20-year history of OE, all three bodies of government are on the same page, which bodes well for the near future. Secondly, if our country learned anything from the Lewis and Clark expedition that took place from 1803 to 1806, it was the fact that the exploration of the Louisiana Purchase saw a radical shift in the economic engine of our country, and for that reason we all believe that the exploration of America's EEZ will lead to another major shift in America's economic engine, the new blue economy. I am equally happy that our investment in telepresent technology, pioneered by the Jason Project back in 1989 before the internet came online, made it possible for our ship and its Corps of Exploration to weather the global pandemic last year, putting to sea with half the science party we normally carry, conducting 54 24/7 ROV dives, collecting hundreds of samples, mapping nearly 50,000 square kilometers of the U.S. EEZ, while live streaming to over 850,000 of our citizens, with even more to follow this year. Most important is our efforts to instill the wonder of science and exploration in the next generation of students that will follow our explorations live every year. This field season, I'm excited to see the expansion of our exploration footprint, not only on the ocean floor with the addition of AUVs and ASVs to our exploration toolbox, but to explore the entire water column as well. May we have fair winds and a following sea, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Bob. NOAA Ocean Exploration is proud to have you and your organization, Ocean Exploration Trust, as part of the Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute. And now for some final remarks from Dr. Genene Fisher, Acting Director of NOAA Ocean Exploration.
Thank you, Aurora. As Craig mentioned, NOAA Ocean Exploration is the only federal program dedicated to exploring the deep ocean, closing gaps in our basic understanding of U.S. deep waters and the seafloor, and delivering the ocean information needed to strengthen the economy, health, and security of our nation. We advance our ocean exploration mission in a variety of ways. First, we have a dedicated platform, the NOAA Ship Ocean Explorer, which allows us to do seafloor mapping and data collection. Using the latest tools and technology, our office explores previously unknown areas of our deep ocean, making discoveries of scientific, economic, and cultural value. Through our competitive grants process, we fund proposals to support ocean exploration resulting in outcomes that provide or enable initial assessments about unknown or poorly understood regions of U.S. waters. Education and outreach are also very important to us. Through live video streams, online coverage, and training and education opportunities, we allow scientists, resource managers, students, the general public, and others to actively experience ocean exploration. Ocean exploration would not be possible without our partnerships, both nationally and internationally, including other government agencies, academia, industry, philanthropies, and nonprofit organizations. One of our essential partners, the Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute, or OECI, in particular, focuses on expanding ocean exploration and supporting NOAA implementing the National Strategy for Ocean Mapping, Exploring, and Characterizing the United States Exclusive Economic Zone, also known as NOMEC. The OECI is a partnership between NOAA, University of Rhode Island, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, the University of Southern Mississippi, University of New Hampshire, and the nonprofit Ocean Exploration Trust. In May this year, the award ceiling for the OECI increased from about $94 million to $150 million to cover additional activities through the initial 5-year award. This increase creates additional capacity for new research and will allow for the expansion of existing projects and shifts in priorities for NOAA and the nation. OECI has brought together leading deep sea explorers to expand the technologies currently available for deep sea exploration. And they've also supported 27 graduate students so far. We look forward to working with OECI and its partners as we continue to advance ocean exploration into the future. Thank you. Back to you, Aurora.
Thanks so much, Genene. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Adam Soule, Director of the Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute, housed at the University of Rhode Island.
Thanks, Aurora. It is so fantastic to hear the comments of Bob, Craig, and Genene, and to talk about this really amazing cooperative institute.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. We're so pleased to have you here today, along with our other speakers. We've heard how Craig and Bob and Genene describe OECI. What is OECI to you?
Oh, that's a great question. I think in a nutshell, the mission of OECI is to support NOAA in charting the future of ocean exploration. Craig mentioned how little of the ocean's been explored. This is a big challenge, and we're aimed at taking on these challenging problems, imagining what's possible, and delivering new solutions to accelerate the pace of that we can explore the ocean at. This is a great charge, but what really makes it possible is the collection of institutions that make up the Cooperative Institute that Genene mentioned. Each of these institutions shown at the top of this slide bring a unique and really world-class expertise to this group. And through that collaboration, we've constructed what I would call a vertically integrated system of exploration. And what I mean by that is that we are in a unique position to conceive of new ideas, new technology, for example, develop it, and ultimately bring it to an operational status that can then be a tool for our organization, but for the scientific community at large. So we try and do that not just in going out to sea, but in several key areas. So we have 4 legs of the stool, if you will. One is operational exploration, to go out and explore the benthos and the water column. The other would be developing new ocean technology, so tools that are going to make that ocean exploration faster and more efficient. But also education and outreach, as Bob mentioned, exciting the next generation of ocean explorers and training the next generation of blue economy workers. And then finally, ocean data. As we go out and explore the oceans, we're gathering more and more information, and how do we make best use of that and make it most available to the scientific community and the public. So that kind of explains what I think of OECI at a large scale, but on a more granular scale, what the OECI does is develops its operational, technological, and educational priorities in concert with NOAA and NOAA exploration in particular. And in many cases, what's exciting is that those priorities of ocean exploration at NOAA and the Cooperative Institute are aligned with other parts of NOAA. We have a lot of support from other line offices, including the Office of Coast Survey, the OMAO, the National Marine Sanctuary Foundation. But there's also collaborations with other academic institutions, with the commercial sector, and with philanthropic organizations. And we're reaching out all the time to see how the priorities of the CI and the activities of the CI can be beneficial across the federal government and across the academic, commercial, and philanthropic areas. And I think that that is going to make the Cooperative Institute a more vibrant group and really add to our the impact we can make as this collection of institutions aimed in the same direction.
Great, thanks, Adam. It's so inspiring to hear you speak so enthusiastically about the mission that we're facing here. So since the inception of OECI in 2019, there have been pretty significant delays from the global COVID-19 pandemic. OECI has nevertheless mapped nearly 50,000 square kilometers of the US exclusive economic zone. For those of you watching, that's about the area of Vermont and New Hampshire together. They've live streamed our exploration to over 850,000 people. OECI also collected 177 biologic samples, 105 geologic samples, 61,000 images, and almost 200 hours of subsea video. That's an awful lot during a busy year. What other activities are coming up? What do we look for in the future?
Yeah, so much of what you described was accomplished by the Ocean Exploration Trust's EV Nautilus, which is one of our primary operational platforms for the OECI, and has been a workhorse for ocean exploration for more than a decade. The ship has recently come out of the shipyard with an extended back deck and some additional berthing. And we're really excited that it's going to give us an even stronger foundation for all the activities we have coming up. And there's a lot coming up. If you could show that map of what's coming up in the coming year for Nautilus, we have expeditions planned up and down the West Coast and then all the way out to the Central Pacific and Hawaii. And I'll point out one of them in particular that's really exciting. Technology demonstrations that are going to take place off of Southern California coming up in September. And this is a expedition that is really kind of central to OECI's mission of developing new tools, getting them to an operational status, and then figuring out how they can work together and work in many cases without human intervention to more effectively and efficiently explore the oceans. So we're excited in that opportunity, but OECI does more than just go out to sea. I just want to make it the point that if you look at the activities we have coming up in the next year, a lot of them are operational exploration, a lot of them are technology development of vehicles, but we also have a focus on education. We also have a focus on ocean data and taking advantage of advances in machine learning and AI, taking advantage of advances in cloud computing that we think are go hand in hand with the development of new vehicles to go out and explore the ocean. So it's exciting not to see just to see the range of activities that we're taking on, but for me to know that a lot of these activities are collaborative across the Cooperative Institute, that HUI and UNH and USM, URI, and OET are all working together, and I think to the benefit of the Cooperative Institute, NOAA, and ocean exploration in general.
Wonderful. So you've talked a bit about the cruises that are coming up. What types of technology are used on these high-tech cruises, and how exactly are you working to improve them through the tech development process?
Yeah, that's a great question. We we have a strategy, if you will, for technology development, and it's really aimed at building capacity. You know, Craig mentioned that only 5% of the ocean has been explored with modern methods. That leaves a huge amount that needs to be addressed and explored, and it's not going to be done using the same methods that we've always used. So what we're trying to do within the CI is initially build up a stable of tools, new vehicle systems, some novel, some well-established, develop the operational proficiency that allows these vehicles to be used effectively, and then start to build out the ability for these vehicles to work cooperatively. The days of putting one vehicle in the water are slipping away pretty quickly, and soon we're going to have multiple vehicles in the water, each operating at, with their kind of special mode for whatever they're looking at, the midwater, the seafloor. And then as we move further, we're going to begin to work on how we get those vehicles to work without humans in the loop, how they cue off each other, to learn from each other, to make their specific observations or measurements, and how we can move the operations of those vehicles from the ship to the shore. Dr. Ballard mentioned telepresence and its utility in spreading the kind of gospel of ocean exploration to the world, but that same connection to shore can be used to control vehicles, to do the engineering and the checks that need to be done, leaving space on the ships for more scientists, more students, and I think that's a future that we're really excited about, because it won't be too long until some of our exploration is done in ships that are completely uncrewed, and we want to be ready for that possibility. But let me give you an example of one of the vehicles that we are working with in the OECI to develop into an operational tool, and that is the Orpheus vehicle. This is a vehicle that is designed to be a lightweight, low-cost vehicle to explore the deepest parts of the ocean, the Hadal Ocean. That's an area that is even less explored than most of the rest of the ocean because it's so difficult to access. In this summer, this vehicle went out on the Okeanos Explorer with an engineering team and did some demonstrations. And it has some really cool technology on it. I just wanted to mention that one of the ways that this vehicle navigates itself on the seafloor is using something called terrain relative navigation. It looks at the seafloor, it sees if it's been there before, and it positions itself that way. And that's technology that was ported over from the Mars Perseverance lander in collaboration with NASA's JPL. So in our technology development strategy, we're also open to bringing in whatever new technologies become available and putting them in the pipeline to make operational tools. Okay, so that I did mention Orpheus, and that's great. We have a whole stable of vehicles that we're using within the OECI. Some of them are well established, like the ROVs that operate off of EV Nautilus, and some of them are brand new, autonomous surface vehicles like the Drix and the Sail Drone Surveyor, unique AUVs like the Mesobot, the Orpheus that I mentioned, and NUI, which is a hybrid AUV ROV, and then some kind of workhorse AUVs like the Mola Mola for imaging and the Eagle Ray for mapping. We're really excited about the Sail Drone Surveyor, which is a new autonomous surface vehicle that is headed out for a mapping mission in the Aleutian Arc. And that's something that's supported through the OECI, both by NOAA Ocean Exploration, but also by BOEM, the Bureau of Ocean and Energy Management. And so we're really excited to see how that comes out, because I think it's going to be a big part of the future for the NOMEX strategy, as Genene mentioned, and the need to explore and map the entire US EEZ.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Adam, for giving us that deep dive into the variety of vehicles that are used through OECI. Another core tenet of OECI is engaging and supporting future workers of the blue economy. How are you and the rest of the OECI partners working to identify and support these groups of early career folks?
Yeah, it's really important to the CI. You know, the blue economy is predicted to experience massive growth in the coming decades with the development of offshore energy, aquaculture, mineral resources, as well as management and conservation. And there's a vast area of ocean to be explored, and with these other sectors, there's a huge capacity problem. We need trained workforce that is going to be able to understand the ocean and work in the oceans effectively. The OECI partners, they have a huge range of well-established training programs, a lot of them aimed at graduate and postgraduate students, as well as undergraduate programs such as the URI SURFO program at my home institution. And the OECI is supportive of those programs and wants them to continue. And within the OECI, we have, as Bob mentioned, the Ocean Exploration Trust and the Inner Space Center have really blazed the trail for bringing ocean exploration to the public through Nautilus Live. But the OECI, I think, is trying to identify where we can do the most good. And we're aiming to augment these existing programs by targeting opportunities to join the blue economy or the blue workforce for underrepresented groups. As an example, we have a partnership between the University of Southern Mississippi and Tuskegee University to develop an internship program that's giving opportunities to students at a historically Black college the opportunity to engage with ocean exploration in a really substantive way. We have one student who's currently working at USM and soon to be heading out to sea with the AUVs operated out of University of Southern Mississippi. You're going to hear from her and about that program on a later seminar. We also have a new program starting up with the New England Institute of Technology, which is a majority minority institute in Rhode Island that is aiming to give opportunities to students who are going for associate degrees. I think we really have to open up the pipeline for students to enter this really, I think, exciting and growing field, and OECI is trying to take a leadership role in doing that. But rather than telling you about how the students respond to this, I want to share some words from Coralie Rodriguez, who's one of the OECI graduate students that we support at the University of Rhode Island.
I'm Coralie Rodriguez, and I am a first-year PhD student at GSO. I'm Katie's student. We're working on this ferromanganese crust project, so essentially we're trying to figure out what controls ferromanganese crust composition along Pacific seamounts. 90% of the ocean is unexplored, and most of Earth is covered by oceans, so it is important to figure out what's going on there. It is. It's my first time on a cruise, so I'm really excited. I don't know that many people who get opportunities to go onto cruises.
Coralie's been wonderful, and her original pilot data set is already showing us what her findings are going to be. And so we have a really great research question, which has to do with how the water properties affect the growth and composition of these crusts. And she's testing it with a beautiful sample suite from the Nautilus program. And all of this is enabled by funding from the OECI, for which we're very grateful.
Thanks so much, Coralie, Katie, and Adam. We now have some time for questions from the audience. If you are signed into a YouTube account, you can ask questions in the live YouTube with a NOAA.gov email address. In order to ask a question, you'll either need to sign into YouTube with your personal email address, or you can email questions to oeciquestions@uri.edu. So our first question came in from Emily Peer. And her question was, will your findings and data feed into marine spatial planning or management of marine activities? And I think, Craig, can I send it over to you to answer that question?
Oh, I'd be happy to. I'll go back to when Dr. Ballard's introductory comments referenced that we started this program back in 2001 with $4 million. $4 million is a lot, but it's not enough to do the job. And we're now at a point where we're doing so much more. But back since those days, all the way up until today, including the work of the OECI and its predecessor entities, we have been collecting information and using it for marine spatial planning, marine area management. In fact, the Northwestern Hawaiian Islands, the Papahānaumokuākea National Marine Sanctuary and Monument, was designated based on ocean exploration, mapping, exploration, and characterization. There's a huge stand of coral submerged along the mid-Atlantic East Coast, which has been designated as essential fish habitat by the Fisheries Management Council. And that was discovered from ocean exploration mapping cruises. So very definitely, not only will we, but we already have and will continue to do so. Everyone who's involved in so many aspects of ocean science needs this information and benefits from it, because it's all open, free, and available, and very carefully stewardized and configured for ease of access.
Great. Thanks so much for that answer, Craig. One question that we get quite a lot is, how do other parts of NOAA or the federal government or researchers get involved with OECI? Adam, how can people work with you and with the rest of the CI if they're interested?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that as a general statement, we would consider the OECI open for business. We love partnerships. We think they're really valuable, not just with NOAA, but with anyone who has great ideas. What OECI has as a resource is access to the deep ocean by vessel, by submersible, by robot, and especially in a part of the globe where the US EEZ is difficult to access, the Central Pacific, for the coming years. So for those that would like to collaborate, we have a bunch of traditional methods. You can follow along with the Nautilus Live, and the observations and comments by the viewers can be a really important asset for exploration. But we also would love other parts of NOAA or other federal agencies to join with us especially in the development of new technology, in the application of new approaches to ocean exploration, and more. So whether that is for the purpose of ocean exploration or something that we do that may be important for aquaculture or offshore wind or national security, we think that we have the capacity to add partners. As Genene mentioned, we had the cap on the CI increased. That allows us additional room to bring in new partners, and we're ready to do so. So I would encourage folks who are listening to this and think that there might be an opportunity for a partnership to reach out to me. You can find my email on the oeci.org website, or come through Aurora if you like. But either way, we're ready to talk.
Thanks, Adam. We had an even more specific version of that question from Jeremy Potter. Does the NOAA-OECI Cooperative Agreement include discretionary funding that OECI can use to partner with other organizations, or does partnering with other organizations require additional funding? And if there's discretionary funding available, what's the appropriate manner to engage the OECI in discussing ideas?
Yeah, that's a great question, and sounds like it's someone in the know who's asking that question. We don't have discretionary funds for developing new partnerships, but we can put that into our planning for coming years if the partnerships are discussed and agreed upon. In the meantime, before funds are available, we are a scientific community. We are used to looking for opportunities to leverage what we're already doing to assist in other activities, or to provide opportunities, or to share our resources that we use for accessing the deep ocean and our knowledge and expertise with other groups. So each situation is going to be a little bit different, but I would say, let's have a discussion. Let's look at where the opportunities are and determine whether that is something that we want to jump on right away or something we want to build into the planning. One of the great things about the CI and what we're really grateful to NOAA for is a stability in a funding resource over multiple years that allows us to think big and think broadly and well into the future.
Thanks, Adam. What we're looking at right now is the DRIX. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the DRIX is doing, since we see a pretty cool vehicle floating through the waves in New Hampshire right here?
Yeah, so this is a really exciting development. This is a new class of ASV. It's a diesel-powered, but really kind of seaworthy vehicle. So a lot of ASVs that have come along in recent years have been smaller, low-powered, and not particularly well suited for doing the type of exploration that we want to do in deep water, where you need high-powered sonars and you need a strong platform. So this is a new type of vehicle, and we are piloting how to use this effectively, both for mapping the seafloor, but also as a force multiplier for other operations using AUVs or ROVs and queuing each other in a co-robotic exploration type of method. So we're excited to see this vehicle develop. It's in the hands of the group at UNH who are world experts on seafloor mapping, and it's going to be a big part of what we're doing in the upcoming OECI activities.
Great, thanks, Adam. We have another question from Denwood NOAA that's also about participation, but from a bit of a different angle. How can I participate as a citizen explorer in the activities of OECI?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Denwood. So I mentioned the Nautilus Live and the ability to kind of follow along with the ocean exploration activities. And that has value in a number of different ways. One, we want to make a science literate citizenry. And so that's one way to do it and to inspire the next generation. But as I mentioned, the observations from the public watching that stream can be really valuable to the exploration activities. We have not explored a kind of citizen science kind of directive for the CI, but it is something that some of our partners have been working on. And so we may have opportunities in the future for citizens to engage in, processing of seafloor mapping data or identifying animals, organisms in subsea video. I think it's great that you asked that question. It makes me think that we ought to put more of an effort on that, because there's a lot of citizens who are really excited about this and want to participate in more than a passive way. And I think we can help that happen.
Great, thanks, Adam. Our next question comes from email. It says, in the list of activities for this year, I saw that you're doing an expedition to Johnston Atoll. What are your plans for that expedition?
Yeah, Johnston Atoll is an area that has not been well mapped or characterized. We'll be going out there and using ROV Hercules along with the NUI, or Nereid Under Ice Vehicle, in AUV mode. And coupling these vehicles is really exciting and important. It allows us to understand what the seafloor looks like in very high detail using the AUV to collect bathymetry data, and then makes us much more effective and efficient in sending the ROV to the seafloor for observations and samples. We can know where to go and don't have to spend time wandering around on the seafloor. This this notion of coupling these vehicles is a really important one for the CI, because we see that every day at sea, every dollar we spend being at sea is really important. We need to maximize every minute that we're out there. And to do that, we have to field multiple vehicles at the same time. This is coupled with the trend towards research vessels that are smaller, still highly capable, but aren't able to house the engineering teams and the science teams as completely as we have in the past. And so this will be a great example of taking multiple vehicles out, trying to bring some of the operational expertise onshore, not on the ship, and having a full complement of scientists out there to do the exploration. So I'm really excited about that expedition.
Thanks. Our next question comes from YouTube. Does OECI allow students to come in as interns?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We have a few internship programs that exist within the CI and within the partner institutions. So I will mention some of the new activities are direct partnerships with institutions for interns. That includes Tuskegee University and the New England Institute of Technology. There are broader internship programs that operate within the CI. Ocean Exploration Trust, for example, has internship programs for video engineers, science managers, and ROV kind of navigators and technicians that can draw from across the world. So there are lots of internship activities, and I would just suggest for the questioner, if they don't find one that they think is a fit for where they're coming from, reach out to me, and we can see where we have a gap, or where there's something that you didn't see that we can try and find a spot for you.
Wonderful. Yes, we have some amazing interns already, and we're looking for more in the years to come. The next question is from YouTube as well. Do you have an online mapping platform or tools that integrate your data to make it available to the public?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do collect a lot of mapping data, and that mapping data then goes through kind of expert processing in order to clean it up and make it as accurate as possible. And then that mapping data is delivered to national repositories where it becomes available to the public. These repositories kind of collaborate with each other to produce global compilations. But the one that we use most frequently is NCEI, or the National Center for Environmental Information. And you can go there, you can search by an area, you can search by a vessel or an expedition to find the data that we have collected. The thing that I would mention is that NOAA is also experts at seafloor mapping, and not just the execution of it, but the planning of it. And they have done a lot of analysis of where we have good mapping data and where we have gaps, and we work closely with them and use their expertise to determine where we're going to collect mapping data, and we do that in gaps that exist in order to, as much as we can, fully cover the US EEZ, which is a big challenge.
Yeah, massive challenge. The US EEZ is larger than the amount of land that we know as the US. So there's more land under the ocean that belongs to the US than there is above the sea. Adam, you've talked a lot about different types of vehicles. We saw the Drix, we saw Orpheus. Why do we need so many different types of vehicles? Can't we just have one really great vehicle that does everything?
Yes, that would be fantastic. But the reality is that each vehicle is designed for a specific activity. So when you want to be on the seafloor collect video and pick up samples. You want a vehicle that is strong, a vehicle that can be heavy and stay in place, and then you end up with a fairly large ROV. But when you want to map the seafloor, you want something that's hydrodynamic, that conserves energy, that is not tethered to a ship, and you end up with AUVs of the like that you see in this image where they're kind of torpedo shaped. And then there's places that are left behind by those types of vehicles. So the AUV Mesobot is designed to work specifically in the midwater to collect samples for environmental DNA, to make observations, to determine what's living in the midwater. And it takes a specialized vehicle to be well suited for that. So there really isn't a Swiss Army knife of vehicles, although there's some, as they try to get that way, they get larger and larger and more unwieldy. So we think that the technological path forward is mission-specific or purpose-specific vehicles and an array of them that can be deployed together to provide us full exploration coverage from the surface down to the seafloor and below. And
why do you make them all yellow, orange, and red?
Because then they're easy to see when they pop up to the surface. If you've ever had to chase a AUV that lost its power, you'd be very happy if it was yellow or orange.
That makes sense. The next question comes in via chat. Is seafloor characterization, utilizing all these public data, a goal for OECI? If so, how does one get involved with providing the public with high-level interpretation of the seafloor? And I want to note here, before you start talking, that this question mentions characterization. And we've been talking an awful lot about mapping. So what's the difference between mapping and characterization, and which one does OECI try to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think those terms can be a little subjective, but let's take exploration and characterization as two flavors, right? So exploration means going to a place that's never been visited before and finding something out about it. That can be by mapping the seafloor, by making initial observations via ROV of what's down there. Characterization is another level of scientific understanding where you want to know how things vary spatially, what the chemical and environmental conditions are. And OECI is really more aimed at exploration than characterization. Those are two terms, but it's truly a spectrum. So when we go out, we are mapping the seafloor, we are observing what's there, we are collecting voucher samples, but the hope is that the data we collect will be a foundation for scientists to go back with a goal of full characterization, of sampling every 5 meters, of knowing the genetic makeup of the organisms that are down there. So we try and blaze the trail and hope that either our group or the world at large will go back and really kind of test out ideas and fully characterize these spots.
Great. Yeah, I'm excited to see all of the new information that's coming out of OECI. Our next question comes from Layla Hamden, who is one of the CI members at University of Southern Mississippi. And she wants to know, which vehicle is your favorite, Adam?
Layla, you can't ask that question. I love all the vehicles equally. ROV Hercules. I'm a geologist. I love rocks. I like vehicles that can pick things up off the seafloor, but mapping systems, they also make my heart beat faster. I really couldn't choose. And I think the real answer is that I want to go out with 2, 3, 4 vehicles so that I get a complete understanding of the environment. So that question was a trap, Layla, and I know it.
Great. Another question coming in by email. How did you get into study this very specific field? What would it take for someone else to become a future Adam Soule?
Well, it's not a straight line, but the thing that drove me was when I first got to dive in a submarine, when I realized that this field is about making discoveries. Oh my goodness, it's a really exciting area to work in. It was, it was 30 years ago that Dr. Ballard discovered hydrothermal vents and chemosynthetic ecosystems that fundamentally changed our understanding of life on the planet. I mean, to be in a world where discovery is expected, not a rare treat, is really tremendous and gets me really excited. So in order to get there, in some cases it might be simpler than you think. If you express your interest and excitement for this to folks who are doing it, opportunities are going to pop up. Us as scientists really like it when people are interested in what we do, and without a doubt, we have a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done and help that's needed. So I would say reach out, express your interest and excitement, and do your kind of core physics, math, and chemistry in order to have the foundation to build on.
Wonderful. Thanks, Adam. We're not quite done with this iteration of Adam Soule, but we'll be looking for the next generation as well. Well, that wraps up our question time for today. On behalf of all our guests, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us to learn more about the Ocean Exploration Cooperative Institute, or OECI, as now we can all call it. I'd also like to thank all of our OECI partners and NOAA collaborators who make this work possible. I'd especially like to thank the University of Rhode Island's Inner Space Center, Jess and Ryan, who produced this webinar and have done a wonderful job. This webinar is the first in a 6-part series highlighting the amazing work of OECI. Details on upcoming webinars can be found at the link down here, which is, there we go, web.uri.edu/OECI/events/NSSS. I hope that you'll join us for the next session on September 1st at 3 p.m. Eastern Time for our next webinar on World War II shipwrecks, discoveries in the Gulf of Mexico. And that will be hosted by our OECI partner, the University of Southern Mississippi. They'll be sharing early results live from a research vessel, Point Sur, as they are on an exploratory mission in the Gulf of Mexico. You can also follow along as they search for the Norlindo shipwreck on the NOAA Ocean Exploration website at oceanexploration.noaa.gov to learn more about this project that is funded in collaboration between NOAA Ocean Exploration, Funding Opportunity, and the OECI. Thanks very much for joining us today, and we hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.